And we're back, folks. We're back continuing with the morning show this morning. We'll be joining our colleagues from Galen University, and they're joining us via Zoom, I understand. Good morning. In the persons of Sherry Gibbs, who's the Dean of Art, Science, and Technology at Galen, and Dr. Christia De Geer. I have it right?
Yes, you do. Good morning.
Thank
Good
you. And
morning.
you're
Good
the program
Morning.
coordinator of social work at Galen. Good morning, ladies.
Morning. Thanks so much for having us on.
Well, I know we're here to talk about your master's degree in social work,
Social
right?
work, yeah.
This morning. I will throw this a little bit. Maybe I could get your opinion and social work affects people, especially people of lower income in any country. Does social work have any impact on people's perception of politics or politicians?
I think social work has a unique position for advocating for policy that affects all people,
Right.
but especially marginalized populations. It's something that happens a lot. This discussion happens a lot in our master's program about how we in Belize have the need for social workers to step up and really become advocates for policy change.
Can it be manipulated by politicians?
Well, politicians definitely have influence, but if we keep the core values of social work, which is social justice, as long as we're fighting for and advocating for the rights of the marginalized, we are staying in line with the profession.
Well, tell us about that, how Galen handles that.
Well, Galen's Masters of Social Work program has been modified from the best programs in the world, but to fit the Belizean and CARICOM context. We thought it was very important to make sure our social work master's student get the personalized education for the environments that they will be practicing in. So Galen Master's students in social work are getting the best education focused on CARICOM, Belize, and international environments.
So maybe we could get a little bit more about the details of what the course entails.
Absolutely. Galen has such a unique master's program where we have two options. The first option is for those who already have a bachelor's of social work. They can complete their master's in a intensive 1-year master's program. And for those who are just getting into social work or always wanted to get into social work but have bachelor's degree in other areas, we have a 2-year regular standing master's program.
Okay, so if you already have a background in it, you can complete the course in less time.
Yes, in 1 year.
If I don't have a bachelor's in social work, does it make a difference what my bachelor's is in another field? Like I may have a bachelor's in mathematics. Would that help?
If you have a bachelor's in mathematics, you can complete our 2-year social work program, which is a typical master's program. That first year really gives you all that basic information, that ground information that you need to be an ethical and well-trained social worker. So yes, we invite people with bachelor's in math or education we're getting a lot of, or criminal justice or psychology. There is a place for you in our program.
Dean Gibbs, why would you advise someone to pursue a degree in social work?
That's a great question. As Krishna had mentioned, we have a number of people that aren't in the social work field. I think we can see that there's a real growing need, especially with teachers, to focus on our young people and our youth. Having social workers in the school, having teachers who are trained as social workers to help better identify maybe some of the issues that might be happening with the children in their classes, principals even being able to have a better understanding of what's happening with the children in their community, being able to work with parents. So I think it actually brings a real holistic approach to education. And being able to work with our young people. And then going from primary into secondary school, I would say even more so. So I think we know a lot of our young people these days are really struggling, especially after coming out of COVID. So I think there's a lot of really great opportunities for people to be able to work with young people.
Is it the field, is it encompasses all areas, or can I specialize within social work in the degree? Like, for instance, I want to do social work, but I don't want to get my hands dirty.
Well, you can definitely specialize. We have courses in clinical social work as well as school social work, but also an opportunity for specialization is in the field placement component, where each semester our students are in the social work field. They get to choose what area they'd like to do that in, whether it's policy, whether it's clinical or anything else. So a big specialization process is through that hands-on at organizations, whether it be NGOs, government entities, or private organizations, or even educational settings where they get to specialize and hone in on what their interests are in the social work field.
Are there,
I want to jump in because
go
Ernesto,
ahead.
you said
Go
about
ahead.
like not getting your hands dirty, and so
Yeah.
maybe that means not, being in a clinical setting. But I think that's then where the policy development comes in. So where you can really look at, forming those policies that are going to work with and for people.
There must be some kind of character requirement, though, to be a social worker, to get into the field of social work. Would I be right?
I think if you have the heart for wanting to help people, either in the hands dirty way or in a policy way, that's what matters. We see students coming from all backgrounds with that heart of, I want to help change our communities, our individuals, our countries, our world, and that's what makes a difference in social work.
Exposure, I think, through the media to social work has a lot to do with, we have conflicts all over the world. We see, especially organizations out of the United Nations, for instance. Are these the areas where career-wise it's more prevalent, and, well, the areas where you can really work, is this where they are, or are there areas we don't see on a daily basis?
Where there's people, there's social work, is what I like to say.
Okay.
We find social workers being the number one mental health practitioners in the world. Now, social workers are doing the most counseling. Social workers are doing case management, which is what traditionally people think of social workers with child abuse and maltreatment. There's social workers in different countries working with all those different programs you mentioned on the ground, the front lines of conflict. There's social workers in schools and hospitals. So I like to say, where there are people, there are problems, and it's a good place for social workers.
So Belize would be a good place to get a degree in social work, and you could develop a career here in Belize?
Well, speaking as a social worker myself, I have a master's of social work as well as a PhD in social work. We have so much opportunity. We have so much room for growth. We have so much room for uplifting our marginalized populations, our school children who come every day experiencing neglect and abuse at home. There is a huge opportunity for social work in Belize.
My next question.
One of the
then,
great things.
Go ahead.
Sorry, when we were talking about developing this program, Dr. DeGuerre had the idea that this would really be a great opportunity for Belizeans, especially those who already have a bachelor's in social work, because the only other place, the closest place to go would be in the Caribbean to UE, or going abroad, which adds a lot of additional costs than just tuition. So being able to do that here at home and have it really be focused on the Belizean context, while also bringing in the Caribbean, but being able to have a specialized program on Belize, I thought was really important.
Ladies, where does the financing of social work, let's take it from a two-section question. First, locally in Belize, where does the budget come from, or the financing for social work in Belize come from mainly, and worldwide? Again, looking at it from a broad picture, from outside looking in, it always seems like it's from NGOs or money being donated or just benefits. How does that work?
Well, there are definitely programs that are funded from outside of Belize, from our different partners internationally, but from Belize as well. You know, our Ministry of Human Development, our Ministry of Health. I am licensed through the Ministry of Health as an allied health professional, so it comes internally and externally as well, funding the programs that we see. But also we have social workers in private practice, which means they're basically small business owners running their own counseling services for all Belizeans. So it's very dynamic, but we definitely have funding from within as well.
Okay. And internationally, I asked the question because, as you know, there's a issue out of the U.S. now, like USAID money being curtailed by the president and so on. How is that affecting social work internationally?
Well, it's definitely affecting social work internationally. You know, our social workers, again, are fighting for the marginalized and speaking up for the voiceless. But that is also the opportunity of social workers. We have to be using our voice right now to advocate, to continue. One great thing about social workers is we find funding, even if the time gets tough. We're the type of people who
Right,
look for
right,
plan A to Z, and we don't give up. So
right.
this political climate, it is even more important for social workers to use their voice.
Well said. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
A couple of times you've mentioned that this program has to do with the CARICOM Belizean context. What's the difference between what's being taught in this program as opposed to the international context?
Well, our classes we have similar courses, but if you get a hold of our course descriptions, in the course descriptions, it says with a focus on CARICOM and Belize. So we are hiring local professors and lecturers and field supervisors to teach on the Belizean and CARICOM issues with the international theoretical framework, right? So we want to know what's happening on the ground. Many of our students are social workers, and we ask them to share their experiences. What are the things that they deal with every day? Our field placements are in Belize. So the courses are really tailored to the Belizean and CARICOM experience. You know, what is the experience of social services on the ground? What is the experience when working with marginalized people in Belize? What does that look like? So we really want our social workers to graduate and do all the good that social workers do here as well as abroad. But one of the main goals was to stop that brain drain. We need them here. We need them affecting positive change in the lives of Belizeans.
Do you have shorter programs? Like, I may not want to do a master's degree. I'm a counselor at a high school or something. Does Galen offer any shorter, specific trainings?
We have actually, there's been some CPD trainings that we have done over the years, one in particular addressing suicide prevention. That was something that Dr. Aird had initiated, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago with a COBEC partner. And it was offered to anybody who was interested in looking at how we could reduce risk of suicide. So there were teachers, police officers, social workers, a variety of individuals working in different areas, but especially where you've got young people involved and who are at risk. And so, yeah, Galen is, we like to say we've got our pulse on, and where we recognize that there are challenges that some of our professionals, especially teachers, are experiencing, then we jump in to try to assist and to mitigate those.
All right, I suspect you can do this online.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We also have had, so the master's program, yes, is 100% online, except for the internships. Those placements have to be done in person at your placement.
who would be an ideal subject for this program? You just mentioned internship. If I am working right now I'm outside of the social work program, but I want to do the master's degree. At some point, I may have to quit that job to go do my internship somewhere else. Is that?
Well,
Yeah.
we do have different options. We try to be as flexible. If you're coming in as a social worker, oftentimes we can make it where you're doing your field placement at
Right.
your
At your job.
employment, as long as it's master's level and not your typical everyday 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, depending on where you work. Also, we have flexible part-time options for those who may be, in a different field or just have circumstances that make it where they can't give that full time to their education.
Okay. If anybody's listening, how do they apply? How to get involved? What do you need from them?
Yeah, they can go onto our website and find our application for that. They can also just give us a call, 824-3226. Reach out to any of us. I think we're pretty easy to find these days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you can give us a call, and as soon as you say, I'm interested in the Masters of Social Work, you will get directed either to myself or Dr. DeGuerre. Take email addresses, and we're ready and willing to meet one-on-one. We can set up virtual meetings. You can, of course, come to campus to meet with us, and we can go through the application process and run through the program to ensure that you understand everything that's involved. There is, of course, reference letters, and preferably reference letters from people who you've been working with in the field. But then also we want to find out about you. So there is an essay that that's required for you to put together. And that's really, it's really amazing when we've been going through the applications for this first cohort, reading everybody's background and why they want to get into this field. It was really wonderful to go through and read, and this is really a fantastic cohort, and we really can't wait for them to graduate, and we'll have our first batch of Masters of Social Work to start filling the voids that are out there and the gaps that we have.
A big question always is, what's the cost? How flexible are payments? Do you assist with sourcing, funding, or scholarships, things like that? Do you do that?
So we don't usually give scholarships at the graduate level. However, we have had some special scholarships that we have given out. The cost is comparable to the graduate in education program, recognizing that just like with teachers, our social workers, they're on the ground and the need for them. So you can get in touch with us and we can go through in detail the finance part of it.
Yeah.
We have payment options. We've got
Right.
a loan program. We also work really closely with DFC, and they have some really great programs that work with people. And so we try to be as flexible as possible because we know how important education is, and especially with this program.
We are talking about the different fields and areas you can get into within the program. What's lacking mostly in Belize? What type of social workers do we need more?
We need more social workers, I think, across the board. We need more clinical social workers, more social workers focused on policy. We have just a handful of Masters of Social workers in Belize, which is typically and traditionally the terminal degree in social work, the degree that is needed to do the high level work. So we need to fill those gaps. Like I said, anywhere you can find people, we need social workers, and there is a deficit, which is why this program was started to hopefully slow that brain drain, keep them here and keep them doing good for all Belizeans.
That's a problem, though, isn't it? We train them and then they leave for, more generous paychecks. Okay, before you go, what's the timing? You just mentioned this cohort. So are you still looking for applications, or are you getting ready for another term?
We will be accepting applications for a late August, early September start. So you have a good amount of time to get those applications in, to ask all your questions, for us to answer any question you may have, and for us to help you through the application process. So there's a good amount of time until the next cohort.
From the
And I
this-
would really
yeah.
encourage people, sorry, Ernesto, to if this is something that you're interested in, to really seriously think about next steps and getting in touch with us so that we can work with you. We know it's a big step, not just the studying, because it's a year, but it's, as Dr. DeGuerre had said, it's really intensive. We want to make sure that you're prepared for that, but then also the financial too. I mean, we recognize, of course, that this isn't just something that on a whim you can decide to jump into. So we really want to work with you and make sure that financial component is set and comfortable for you. And then, in a year's time, you have your master's in social work. So we're really excited about our first cohort in the advanced standing, graduating in July.
And I understand that master's is accredited outside of Belize as well, isn't it? It has value.
It's recognized by, I'll let Dr. DeGuerre talk about that, because when we were developing the program, we shared it with the, I'm not going to get the organization correct, the Caribbean Social Work Organization or Association.
Yeah.
They vetted the program for us and gave suggestions, and they actually suggested that we add more of the internship component, and to also ensure that it has that focus on the Caribbean and Belize. It's important for them that was there. Go ahead, Dr. DeGuerre.
Yeah, just like all Galen programs, we are recognized internationally. We have had students, not masters yet because we're just graduating our first cohort in July, but we've had students from Galen go all across the world and do all different great things with their education. Once an eagle, always an eagle. So like our other programs, these are recognized internationally.
Ladies, anything we left out you would like to add before you go?
Just that if you're thinking about it, give yourself this opportunity, reach out. We're always happy to answer any question, no matter how big or small, and we look forward to welcoming you into our MSW program.
Well, there you are, Ava. You'd make a good social worker.
Yeah.
No? Yes, you would. I know you would. You're
I
a
would.
kind-hearted lady. And that's what you need, right? Thank
have
you,
the
ladies.
interest- You have the interest in people. Like you said, talking about people.
Thank you so much for having
Yeah.
us this morning.
Yeah.
More than welcome.
Thanks so much, Ernesto and Ava. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to discussions
Sherry and
on,
Prisha,
from
thanks
anybody out there
again.
who's interested.
Keep up the good
Thank
work.
you again.
Thank you. Goodbye.
It was Sherry Gibbs.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sherry Gibbs, Dean of Art, Science and Technology at Galen, and Dr. Krisha DeGuerre, who's the program coordinator for the Masters of Social Work program at Galen
Much
University.
needed in Belize.
Yes, we do need it. I was going to suggest they should have one just for the politicians to take, Alrighty, let's take a
You
break. We'll be
have
back. Business Perspective will be coming up next.
You don't have a universal something to
I
do?
think we do. Yes, let me look it up. You're right. We need to do that. Just reminding you of the friends and family in Spanish Lookout. Universal Hardware will be having that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, February 27th to March 1st. That's Universal Hardware, Center Avenue, Spanish Lookout. Incredible sale days, unbeatable deals, exciting raffles, refreshments, food, and surprises. You'll have access to purchase excellent brands like Lifan Motorcycles, Makita Power Tools, Sankey AC Units, and home appliances, Shindaiwa Brush Cutters, Kale Vinyl Flooring, and Hotechi Hand Tools. I have a couple of those. Yeah, stay updated and follow them on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So mark your calendar. Bring your family and friends to Spanish Lookout for Universal Hardware's, of course, friends and family day at Spanish Lookout, Saturday, February 27th to March 1st. Big sales, and you can, well, get some quality goods for less money. We'll take a break. We'll be back with Business Perspective.